By the day we're getting closer to the NFL draft, we're getting closer to doing our rookie drafts for our Dynasty fantasy football teams. Today, we're going to rank the rookie wide receivers. We're going to put them into tiers as we do every week or about every week and a half or so. That way we get a good gauge of the players as we study them. We look at the tape, we look at the numbers, we move them up and down. We refigure the rankings, and we do this as part of the process just to keep up with some of the top tier guys, add in some new guys. I got 2 new guys in on the rankings that we're going to look at today. But let's go ahead, let's jump into this, and you're going to notice that the grid's a little different. I got some different stuff for you today. We're changing some stuff up here, and we're going to start ranking these wide receivers by going to the A1 tier. A1 tier, I got Jackson Smith-Njigba pretty much locked and loaded as the class is wide receiver 1. Not falling out of the first round, and he's very safe, very stable. Looks like he has good upside, and the fact that he's just locked there might as well just stay there because he's not moving, flipping, and flopping. There's a reason why it's called A1 and A2 because it's not valued too far apart. So imagine I just call it about the same. So, but I do have them at the top, so you're not confused with someone in front of A tier and me just saying that. He's at the top. There are no Justin Jeffersons in this class. There are no Jamar Chases in this class. Not yet. Justin Jefferson wasn't really Justin Jefferson until he became Justin Jefferson, but he was still a fantastic prospect. Fantastic prospects sometimes go boom on you, and that might happen with Jackson Smith-Njigba, but that's something I wouldn't predict out of him. But he is the one wide receiver in here that you just have in that A1 tier. But A2 tier is pretty much A1 tier, but a little different, just a little bit down. And we're going with Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, and then we're going to throw in Zay Flowers in here. Zay Flowers can be mixed in. He can be your number 2, number 3, however you want it to be. Jordan Addison's been the top guy too all offseason long, along with Quentin Johnston. These guys got all different things to their game. Jordan Addison's got that top tier production. Jordan Addison broke out during that sophomore season with Kenny Pickett and company, then transferred to USC and did well. We all know that. Came in a little light in the pants at the combine. Combine numbers, when you adjust that stuff in the spreadsheets, ain't looking too savvy, ain't looking too great, but we know that on tape. The thing about this, he's still a good wide receiver. He can still be productive. Odds are not very good that he's going to bust. He's probably going to be steady for you. I think he does need some fuel to help him hit his upside, but that's with a lot of wide receivers, and we already know going into this isn't the greatest wide receiver class, so honestly, just because someone's got some good metrics behind him, we shouldn't put him on a pedestal either. But Jordan Addison is a good player. He's going to be drafted in the first round. He's going to be a first rounder in rookie drafts. He's going to be a guy I'll be drafting. He's going to be a guy that we're going to be looking at. He's very technical, good ball skills, a lot of good stuff in his game. Zay Flower, been a riser, kind of not a riser, just kind of like oscillating there. And honestly, more than likely going to get drafted in the first round, maybe early second round. Thing about him is he gets downfield. He's very nuanced. He can create separation. Profiles as a guy who's going to get a lot of air yards at the NFL level, which is something you want. Again, he's going to be a good wide receiver too on his next team, like Jordan Addison's going to be. Both these two are going to be very good wide receiver 2s for their next NFL team. They both have upside. They both are good players. They both are good at the catch point. I like them both. What I like about Zay Flowers is he projects as a downfield threat. He was that in college, over 10 on the average depth of target, so something you want to see, and Quentin Johnston has that upside. Quentin Johnston has the upside to be the premier wide receiver out of this class. The downside's pretty grand, but the upside's there. There's some technical difficulties, but you see them after the catch. You see him make plays happen. You see those huge games. And you see what could happen there. We also see him as a first-round prospect, getting drafted in the first round, getting opportunities. Landing spot's probably going to be very important for him as well. But they're all in that tier, mixed together. Landing spot's really going to divide them up. I like Zay Flowers a lot. I like Jordan Addison. I like Quentin Johnston too, but they're not perfect. Jackson Smith-Njigba's not perfect. This isn't a perfect wide receiver class. This isn't the one class that you just say, hey, spray and pray on. You're really waiting for the draft to see how this shakes out. Tier B's pretty fun. Tier B's got some guys that I like. We got Marvin Mims, Josh Downs, and Jalen Hyatt. These guys are all mixed around due to draft capital. I like Josh Downs like a lot of people. I think he's going to be a very good slot receiver. I think he's going to be a good wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for his next NFL team. I think he can be productive in fantasy in the right situation. He's going to play 80 to 90% of his snaps in the slot, which isn't bad, which means maybe the air yards isn't going to be there, but he could compete for target share, which could allow him to be productive if he can get that fuel for his fire. Marvin Mims is more than likely going to get air yards if he's on the field. He's going to get downfield targets. We saw that with his average target over at Oklahoma. We see that with his 40 time. We see this with his ball skills. Marvin Mims is on the rise. And honestly, you kind of got a bucket here with Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Marvin Mims, Josh Downs. These are 4 smaller wide receivers who profile as the slot but can do a little bit more due to ball skills, technique, or speed. And these 4 are kind of like in their own little bucket here where things could really shift for one of them if they go in the right spot. Draft capital matters. Jordan Addison's going to get draft capital. Zay Flowers is going to get top-tier draft capital. Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, second rounders. Maybe one of them lands in the late first. More than likely second rounders. Then we got Jalen Hyatt over here. Jalen Hyatt could go in the first. Could go in the early second. Not super nuanced, but he can fly by it. Had a 4.440. This is okay. He's got speed on tape and commands air yards, something you want to chase, something you want to look at, a guy you may want to throw a dart throw at. However, you just want to see where he lands and where he goes. He's not the type of prospect you throw up in an A tier in any draft. He's just not the type of guy to do that. B tier and being conservative because you do see the upside in the right spot, but you also see the downside as well. And then C tier is getting kind of weird here. Now that I split things up a little differently, Parker Washington is a player you want to pay attention to in the draft, see how the NFL likes him. Plays in the slot, good breakout metrics, good market share metrics coming out, sharing the field with Jahan Dotson, but not super productive either. But he's a big-bodied slot receiver that could command targets, but he could also fall in the draft as well, considering this draft is considered not that strong at wide receiver. And the slot position could be slept on a little bit in some drafts as well when it comes to the NFL. Not going to lie, I still like Kayshon Boutte. Still watching him, watching his draft capital, watching where he goes. But I'm not going to shoot my shot too high on him either. So I'm going to be conservative with him in the middle. I'm not going to go too high. I'm not going to go too low. I'm going to keep him right here. Same thing with Trey Palmer. He's one of my favorite late-round prospects. Might be a mid-round prospect. Might be go earlier than you think. Might go later than you think. But 4-star recruit, went to LSU. Didn't get it done there, though. And then instantly went to Nebraska. Everyone was excited about him. First game there, getting targets left and right. And then has a good season. Over a 30% market share of Nebraska's passing offense. Really shelled out. Don't forget about the 2021 season of Cedric Tillman, because that was pretty glorious. He had a good run there and then got injured this year. If he didn't get injured this year, Jalen Hyatt wouldn't have his breakout. That's the thing. If that didn't happen, Jalen Hyatt, we wouldn't be really talking about him. Cedric Tillman was the guy we were really talking about going into this season. And Cedric Tillman does have some goods in his game and needs him to create a little bit more separation off his routes. But dude's got ball skills, is strong at the catch point. He can make plays, and he has been very, very, very sticky with the hands as well. I'm going to move Xavier Hutchinson back up to around this point. I was down on him in the last video. He's creeping back up. He's got a weird prospect profile. He's a little bit older, but he's been productive, and he's also pretty rangy as well. Draft capital, for me, is going to matter with this guy, along with a lot of these wide receivers in C tier and below, because the NFL telling us what they think about him is important, because there is some goods to this guy's game. He can post up, catch the ball when it's in the air, when he's covered. He can do some stuff that a lot of the wide receivers can't, and that could be valued, especially if he's in a situation where targets are glorious, they're accurate, and they're coming his way. Next guy I want to talk about, I like him a lot, but he's a little older. It's A.T. Perry. I don't like old wide receiver prospects, but I'm also not paying up for him. He posted decent numbers at the combine as well. Tape shows all right, good ball skills, decent market share numbers on the back nine of his career last couple of years. I got some Devy shares in my deep Devy leagues of him. So I have shares already, so I don't know if I'm going to diversify much with him, but he is a player that pops on tape. Rashee Rice is a lot of tape guys fans. Guys like him coming off. And he had a big year last year, had some good moments. Good ball skills, did decent at the combine, did decent at the Senior Bowl, really turned it on last year, but remember, he's an older G5 prospect, G5 wide receivers. Take some time to hit. Not all of them hit. Lower hit rate on the G5 guys. Something you want to pay attention to. Then one of my favorites, he's been falling down the board slowly all offseason. It's Raheem Jarrett. Big 5-star prospect coming out of high school, and we heard nothing but rumors of his top-tier athleticism. We saw it on tape a little bit, especially during his freshman season and a little bit of his sophomore season as well, when he was pulling away, catching balls out in the middle of the field and just getting that yak a little bit on just limited opportunities. He does have that 1 year with huge market share, but Raheem Jarrett just never lived up to the hype, never lived up to the moment. The combine was okay, it was good, but not to the echo chamber coming out of Maryland. People talking up his athleticism let me down a little bit, because around summer of last year, people were talking that up like he was going to run the 4.3s, jump out of the building. Raheem Jarrett, though, top-tier prospect, shows it a little bit on tape. That's the thing. Shows a little bit on tape, but I feel like he's very underdeveloped and needs to up things. We're going to mix around E, D, E, and F from here on out. Ronnie Bell, a late-round guy that I like, and he's a slot receiver. Sometimes those late-round cheap slot receivers hit, and sometimes they give you a little bit of fantasy production. And the thing about him, he was productive at Michigan, had that knee surgery, would have came out a year or so earlier, but didn't because of that. Came back this year, did all right prior. Never went bombastic with the market share numbers, the receiving numbers, slow volume passing offense, as we all know, but still was able to be productive to hold his own. Andre Evasis is a late-round guy. He's your Jeff Janis of this class, small school player who can get downfield, make plays happen, that you're going to spend a late-rounder on just to see if something sticks. You also want to see where he goes in the draft as well. Nathaniel Tank Dell. Good wide receiver, probably good for the NFL, probably good for his NFL team. The thing is, for fantasy, odds are stacked against him. Once you get to a certain part of the draft, you're just going to see where he goes, see how he climbs the depth chart. Might get some opportunities here and there, but he's never going to be a wide receiver 1 for his NFL team. That's granted. Wide receiver 2 is in question. Wide receiver 3, good possibility, but you got to see how he jumps the ranks. Charlie Jones, he's old. He's got that season of production with Purdue. He's an old man. And older wide receivers, the odds of them hitting are not great. Want to see where he goes in the draft, but I don't think it's going to be too heavy on that. Tyler Scott's another guy I'm just not interested in. Not really going to have him on any of my Dynasty teams. Watching him on tape, it's just not really clicking for me. One guy that's been rising, he's a new guy in the rankings. And when I add someone new, that's not because I'm sleeping on him. I'm really just adding a guy here and there. And I really should have had him in earlier, because it's not like I haven't been on him. I've been watching him for years. Jaden Reed, let's throw him up to D. He might creep up to C. Let's just throw him up there. I just want to talk ball on Jaden Reed. This dude's got ball skills. This dude could be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for his NFL team. He can really develop. He's good in short spaces. I mean, he really can move laterally very well. He's a good athlete. A lot of people saying good things about him as well, so my eyes aren't off that much. Watched him at Michigan State. Been waiting on him. Felt like he's been producing forever. He's just a guy you need to keep an eye on. I like him better than Rashay Rice. I'm not going to lie about that. I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be big time for fantasy. A lot of these guys below that B tier, they're going to need some things to happen for him. That's the cold-blooded truth of that. A lot of these guys under B tier are going to need some things to happen. This is not a studly wide receiver class, but a guy like Jaden Reed is a guy I could see excelling or getting past those odds, because he does show some good things on tape. Michael Wilson, very good ball skills, showed good things at the Senior Bowl. He's chilling there in E. You might make the case that you can put him there in D, but really, I just want to see where he lands, where he's valued at. This could get reshuffled here in this back 9 of the rankings. A lot of people like Puka Nacua, and I understand that. Still an older wide receiver prospect. Draft capital is going to matter for him big time, how we value him in Dynasty. This is a draft where we need to be slamming the running backs. Why I have Raheem Jarrett still in D and I keep looking at him when I'm ranking is just sheer upside. And the downside is 0. Downside's nothing. He might even go undrafted. But the downside is very low. And I have Debbie shares of this player, and he's new, Dante Demas. I'm going to keep him there. Had a decent market share early in his career, and it flashed on the spreadsheets. That's why I was able to get him in some deep Debbie leagues, honestly. Guy that can get downfield a little bit, maybe command some air yards, maybe an air yard chaser in fantasy if you ever start seeing snaps. Something you want to take note on. I do like him maybe ahead of these guys, but these guys are just going to be just swimming at the bottom of the pool, and maybe they come up, maybe they don't. Let's see, Dontavian Wicks is a guy, maybe here. Just who cares? Who cares at this point? But he flashed a while ago. He flashed, showed some good things. Last year wasn't too great. He flashed, though. He could be a guy that comes back up. Been waiting on him. Been watching him all offseason. Just trying to make a decision. He's been creeping down. I had started up with him high, and he's just been creeping down lower and lower for me. But he's a guy that I recognize has some upside. If you want to shoot for straight upside at the back end of your draft, that might be a guy to look at, but it really depends on draft capital situation. Probably a guy you're picking up off waivers in Dynasty, but you're just going to have to wait. After you get past B tier, or maybe halfway through C tier, D, E, and F really need some stuff to happen for these players to really hit big for us in fantasy. It takes a lot to be a wide receiver 2 in the league for fantasy football purposes. It takes a lot to do that. A consistent one. You can really pop off and be one for a year or two, off and on if you have a decent career. But a lot of these guys, you're going to have to wait and see where they go in the draft. See what happens with them. The B tier, A2, A1, you got some guys here that are very heavy contenders to be wide receiver 3s, wide receiver 2s, maybe wide receiver 1s, give you some upside, hold some value for a bit. That's what you want to look for. You got some guys in C tier that could pop off on you. Kayshon Boutte is a guy you do not want to erase. You do not want to sleep on or erase. He belongs in B tier, A tier when he's going good. When he's not going good, I don't know where the hell he belongs, because he is very sus. The NFL draft is going to tell us about him. If he goes to A2, you put him in B, maybe A2, depending on what's happening or how far he gets drafted. If he falls to day 3, it's round 4, round 5, you're just going to have to drop him. The odds are starting to stack against him. Might be all right, though. Might be all right. But you're going to have to shoot your shot at certain values with him. But he's also still an upside guy in the later rounds. That's what I think about Kayshon Boutte. But I loved what I saw of him that freshman year, sophomore season. But everyone does. So you're just going to play it by ear. I'm not a doctor. I'm nothing like that about the injury. Just going to have to play it by ear with that, because we're going to have to look at this. I think what I did with A2, A1, hopefully it's not confusion with it. Hopefully it's not confusing to anybody, because I tried to explain it. But A1 and A2 is pretty much the same thing, but I had to split it up just because presentation purposes and letting you guys know that if wide receiver 1's locked and loaded, it might as well have its own tier. Let me know in the comments below where you got these guys ranked at, who you high on, who you low on. I want to hear about it. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm helping you out with your rookie drafts, your dynasty teams, also setting lineups in season. That's huge as well, too. I want to thank you for watching, though. Catch you on the next video.